To join the channel here over at Subscribe. Sometimes I look at this stuff, just can't believe we're actually here. Headed full on into Sodom and Gomorrah. So DC Pride and gay kids. It's a bit on the nose. How's he holding him up? Dear God, I hope he's using his hands. So comics certainly have changed since the good old days when I was a kid, when they weren't sexualizing children. That would have been inconceivable. Oh, no! You understand? It's stunning and brave. No, no, it's really something else entirely. I mean, satanic. I don't know what else to call it. Or giving them drugs and surgery to sterilize them. Like, yes, they're actually doing this. I guess I must be an old farmer Luddite. Just haven't kept up with the times. Keep up, Grandpa. Yeah. Back in my day, we didn't sterilize children. Well, Hugo Boss says what? When you realize that comics probably peaked in the 60s, they've been bad for a long time. I would say from the 40s to the 90s were a solid time for comics. After that, it just got too heavy into the globalist propaganda. They kind of took their mask off. That's why Comic Kid was such a breath of fresh air, and why the Cat Ladies and Soy Boys got so angry at one guy in a car with the comics on his lap, holding the cell phone. I think he had like a tripod or a stabilizing gimbal or something. No, he just sat in his car and talked about comics. Like, oh, we need to kill this guy. That's what they said. And then we need to make threats against his family, his kids, his multiple wives around the world. That's bizarre. Nobody in the mainstream comic industry said, hey, maybe dial back the threats of violence. Those are technically terrorist threats. Maybe dial that back. We're not this. This is comics. The guy can sit in his car and review comics, right? No. Apparently they had to destroy him, and nobody in the mainstream industry said. Who was that guy? One of these guys out there was talking about his kids. I'm like, dude, that kind of talk will get you. Visiting the cornfields. Anyway, so DC is very gay. I don't know the sales figures for this kind of stuff. It's got to be low. This kind of cancer is sort of subsidized to push. We're turning kids into catamites. Okay, yeah. Back in my day, we didn't do that. Anyway, so it's not about the money for globalists. This is a religion for these people. And people seem kind of hesitant to accept something that goes outside their preconceived framework, because a lot of times you project how you would behave if you were the head of these companies. You're getting into to sell widgets, or in this case, comic books. It's a creative endeavor. I get that. It's artistic, but it's a business. The creativity in the artistry comes second, and you have to first get it to the customer. So you're projecting, you think, oh, I'm just going to make something I want to make, but it's also going to connect with the customer. It's going to get a lot of sales. We're going to have a movement here. It's going to get it in as many markets as possible. You're just thinking like a normal business person. That's not who these people are. These people are something very, very different and unclean. When I say it's a religion for them, I mean that. Like, if you remove the religious framework for a nation, like, you see what you get here. A country seems to fall to pieces, and they kind of fall for everything, because you go like, oh, so where's our moral guideline? Oh, we don't have any. So what happens? We're giving kids cross-sex hormones, puberty blockers, and then we're doing elective surgery on them. Oh, what dystopian nightmare am I living through? When am I going to wake up from this? It's like, no, it's all actually happening. Takes off the nightmare glasses, it doesn't matter. It's the same image. Anyway, so people don't want to accept something that goes outside their preconceived framework. They want the pieces to fit in a simple model, because to realize that the most powerful people on earth are also these genocidal monsters who will burn companies to the ground if they feel it's necessary to push this propaganda, and they absolutely will, because they're personally insulated by wealth. They don't care about the 99% of the company. They'll just use some State Street, BlackRock, Vanguard mutual fund money to form something. I mean, there's always like these people are never going to run out of venture capital. They haven't, with all effects and purposes, use a cliche. They have an infinite supply of money to push this propaganda. Anyway, people want to fit these pieces and they want to project it in a logical framework like themselves, and it just doesn't work, because you have to realize you're dealing with people who at some point you can look at their behavior and you can look at them. And the thing is, now there's never been a better time to get on social media and look at who these people are. They tell you who they are, to see them for what they are, and you see that, oh, at some point you just come to the conclusion they're evil. Or if you don't want to get into the theological, philosophical aspects of it, you can say their values differ from ours. But it's also important not to just drop out from supporting these companies, but to get online and spread a message, because you don't want other people to not be aware of what's going on. Anyway, so the next step is why people kind of hesitate, is because they realize the next step is, well, you got to fix it, because nobody else is going to. There's no external messiah complex coming in here like Trump or DeSantis or whoever. No, those guys are bought and paid for mostly, or at least they're not going to go outside they're going to maintain the narrative. They're going to maintain the narrative. DeSantis more than Trump, I will say, because you look at the person they're attacking, and then that's like there's a reason they're attacking Trump. He's kind of the best of the worst, and the venom they have for Trump is like, oh, okay, I guess he's. I mean, sometimes it really is that simple to say, like, the people they hate, or they're scared of, is the one you kind of have to get behind, even if he's very imperfect. Anyway, so you ever stop to wonder why these story time hour guys the guys who read to kids wearing skirts, but they don't wear underwear, so they're, I mean, yeah, you know. You ever wonder why they don't volunteer to read at the Senior Citizen Center? They're fixated on kids, on pushing an agenda to kids, to sexualize kids. Like, all this is all actually happening. You know, it blows my mind. I kind of hope the pendulum, like, people just reach a snapping point. The pendulum starts swinging back. So these and the insane single moms bring their kids to these shows. I look at them. I look at the people in the audience. It's not like, you don't have to look at the performers, because the performers are usually just mentally ill, like mostly narcissists and drug addicted. It's like, it's not their fault. They're mentally ill. They're not responsible for their own behavior, really. But you look at the parents who are doing this, and you look at the moms, you're like, ooh, what is going on with you? Anyway, so imagine for an instant that very wealthy and powerful people use their money and influence to spread evil. I'm not sure why that's so hard for the normie to understand, but a lot of it requires putting down the sports ball, video games, soy slop, social media, brainwashing, NPC propaganda. Did you just disparage video games? Yeah, because that's displacement activity. To be, that's why I always talk about camping a lot, because to be out camping without all that stuff, even if it's just for like 2 days, your mind spins around and then finally starts settling on things that you needed to focus on. You're like, oh, we're actually kind of living through Weimar right now, aren't we? Anyway, you got to start like pushing aside all that propaganda and observing and thinking about things that you actually observe, not what they say the narrative is, but what they actually do. And their other communications is there a pattern to this behavior? If you slow down and you think about it, you can start to see themes and behaviors develop. These noticing is very histophobic. These people really, really panic when you start shining up the spotlight. You go, hey, I can't help but notice that like 90% of the antagonists are fair-skinned people of the light with green or blue eyes, or red or blonde hair. That seems like a statistical anomaly, and yet it crops up like 90+% of the time. That's weird. Is there any explanation for that? Hugo Boss says what? That's their whole. If they couldn't ad hominem deflect or strawman, they really don't have an argument. That's why that doctor is terrified of going on Joe Rogan and having a talk with Robert Kennedy. Anyway, so there are other communications you can see online. Is there a pattern? You know, you got to start to see these themes and behaviors. These companies are not what you think they are. Warner Brothers, Disney, Netflix are part of this machine to push and maintain a narrative, usually Fink's narrative. DC doesn't give a darn about selling comics. They hate most of their customers. They definitely hate the old customers. And these companies absolutely, no, get woke, go broke. No, not really. Not as much as you think. Sometimes, rarely. If you stick to something, like if you want to take down Anheuser-Busch, it's not Bud Light, it's Anheuser-Busch. You could, if you really spread that message and maintained it, yeah, you could take down Anheuser-Busch for sure, or even Target. You could take down any company if you wanted to, as long as it's like at a national level, like it was possible. It wasn't international for sure. If people stick to it, yeah, but it's like getting people to stick to it. There's so many red herrings and shiny objects that distract people. But we get go broke. You've got BlackRock's in State Street Vanguards, all these like the asset management companies. They control more money. They have an infinite supply of money because it's for whatever degree you want to define money. They have ability to manipulate those funds. So most of these times, like they should have gone broke. Like you look at movies like Wonder Woman 84 or a bunch of the other movies. There's about a dozen of these woke movies that came out in the past like 5 years, and look at them and like, yeah, these movies. You should have made a movie like this once as a lesson learned, and then you look at the company and the people and you go like, oh, we'll never make this mistake again. We are never going to make a movie like this again. But they keep doing it, and they keep losing money. You realize there's something else at play here, to the point where Disney loses, that Panda movie lost like $160 million or something. And then there's the new Pixar movie that just came out or is just about to come out. And it's about someone's got pronouns. It's some character's a pronoun. It's like, yeah, that's going to lose money. Well, why is that? People aren't on board with it. Yeah, we're going to make another one and do the same thing. Or The Little Mermaid is probably not even going to break even. And they go, yeah, we kind of suspected it wouldn't break even. It's like, so you went into it knowing that it would lose money. Because that's weird because you're a publicly traded company, artisan corporation, fiduciary duty, all kind of stuff. It's weird. It's like, yeah, the motive's not financial. The motive's religious for these people. This is a religious war you're in, whether or not you know it or not. Anyway, DC hates they hate the Reddit's having its own issues right now. They hate the customers, they hate you, and when I see people still giving them money and complaining, I roll my eyes. I'm like, I'm gonna have to cancel Disney Plus any one of these days now if they get any more woke or after what is it, Netflix cuties? Like I might have to cancel. Like what the fudge? How are you paying any of these lizard people any? Why are you paying them? Oh, but what about my distractions and my distraction activity, deflection activity? Yeah, you'll have to be alone with your own thoughts and maybe crack a book. Anyway, you really don't want to support these kind of companies. If you pay for it, you'll encourage them. Though I will say, to be fair, even if you don't pay for it, they won't stop. They'll push this stuff until the end. Honestly, I think it's time for the super base Catholics to make a comeback, like circa 500 years ago, when they were fully based, chads and friendly. The other funny thing in these stories is that there's a collection of like 6 or 7 stories. Most of the bad guys in these stories are wearing full body coverings, including masks, so you can't see anything. The thing is, they're pushing all this BLT stuff on kids, but when you look at the antagonists in the background, they all look suspiciously like you or me, the fair-skinned, blonde or red-haired, blue or green-eyed. And there's a scene where the Christians are evil. They show there's another one where they show 6 fair-skinned people of the light smuggling contraband. Does that happen? Yeah, but I mean, like, the statistical probability of who smuggles contraband. It's just not people who look like me. And then in another scene, it's more evil blonde people. And then in another scene, it's like Christians, but it's like, throwback to the Westboro Baptist. And then there's a scene where they make fun of like Fox News. So when you start looking through, there's like 7 stories, you look through all 7 stories. And when there is a case to show skin, when they're not wearing like full ninja masks, it's people who look like it's all green and blue-eyed people are the bad guys. Are like, yeah, this math just isn't adding up. I mean, to the point where even like the casual comic book reader is going to look at this and go like, you just hate one group of people. You just hate European people. You can't make them the bad guys every single time when it's a statistical anomaly. There's one scene where there's smugglers who are smuggling Liberty devices, and most of them are masked up, but there's a couple points where you can see the arms, and they're all fair, and they're on a boat, like smuggling Liberty devices into like Miami or California or something. You're like, yeah, that's not how that works. It's not European people who are smuggling Liberty devices. Or the Westboro Baptist Church, which, keep in mind, there's like 300 members in that church. And honestly, I look at it now like, how do I join the church? So right now in Canada and in America, there's Muslim groups are protesting against the school, BLT stuff in the school, and then there's a gym that's got like I guess men are going to a woman's gym now, naked, just dangling naked among women. So there's these Muslim groups in both Canada and America are protesting, but every time you read a comic or see a movie, it's these intolerant Christians. Like, yeah, is it in Michigan? I think where the Muslim City Council shut down the BLT display, the Pride display, and the liberals are like, yeah, we felt so betrayed. Oh man, if I didn't have to abide by YouTube's censorship rules, even this, like saying those hot words, I think there might have been a few hot words going on in here. So what are comics now? Lubed up butt sex, just a lot of lubed up butt sex, Except the problem is, I think it's for kids. So you're talking about sex with kids, and there was a time when that would get a redress of grievance, and in this slippery Sodom, Weimar, Gomorrah slope we're in right now, it's like, yeah, it just happens. Somebody else will do something about it. Yeah, but every time somebody tries to peacefully protest, the right wing calls the people who are peacefully protesting federal glow because they're covering their faces. Go, yeah, the J6 guys just went to prison for like 20 years because they didn't cover their faces. But people who are peacefully protesting this, they cover up. It's like, oh yeah, they're federal agents for peacefully protesting. I look at the right wing, I go like, you just don't want to get off the couch and do anything. No, I got to play video games. And I just call people glow. So it's like, how do you protest then if you don't wear a mask and glove up and cover up, wear a ninja suit? It's like, you'll get fired, you'll get arrested, you'll get your life destroyed. But if you do, then the other right wing will just call you Fed. So how does that make sense? It's like, so there's no, both options just lead to you sitting on the couch watching sports ball, eating the soy slop, and playing video games. Yeah, that's why we do that. Like nobody. Anyway, fucking YouTubers. Rules on YouTube, man. They're really pushing, like they're really sexualizing kids, and just people are just kind of mostly letting it slide. Like, we're like, this history is kind of repeating. Nobody wants to mention that. Like the mainstream media, you look at the mainstream media, you're like, yeah, they're not mentioning other periods in history. Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. Definitely Sodom and Gomorrah. Not, other periods of Magnus Hirschfeld and all that kind of shit. Maybe I should edit this last little bit out. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.